Well, hi, everybody. It's Friday night. It is another edition of the Bumanlag Project, broadcasting live from beautiful Amherstburg, Ontario. Happy to have you along for the ride. It's going to be a good one this evening. Oh, my gosh. It's going to be an amazing show. I'm all jacked up full of coffee, and I hope you are ready to have some fun with us tonight. You know, this is our 9th episode of the Bumanlag Project. We are so happy to have you in the audience. This is totally interactive. We've got new episodes that drop weekly, and this show is about Windsor, Essex, and the fantastic people who make up our awesome community. So my guest here in the next little bit is just an amazing dude. I'm really excited because it's off the cuff. It's going to be a ton of fun. And quite honestly, this is the first time we've connected at length for quite some time. So we'll bring him on just momentarily. But over the last couple of weeks, we've had some really cool people on the show. And we've got cool people coming up as well. Last week, we had, a few weeks ago, we had Steve Bureau on the show, and he's sporting some of our new mugs that we're doing for the Windsor-Essex County Humane Society and for the Ronald McDonald House. Last week, we had Chrissy Cochran and Soul Brother Mike, a.k.a. Mike Hargraves, on the show, jamming out with us, which was a ton of fun, and you can find that episode on YouTube and Spotify. Search Bumanlag Project. And on Monday, the man, the myth, the legend from 93.9 The River, Mark Lander is on the show with us. Oh my gosh, this guy has a voice that could make a Wolverine purr. And he'll be on the program talking us about his extensive radio career. So I'm pretty pumped up for Mark Lander to join the show. Equally excited for a man that is like a brother from another mother to me. This guy is probably one of the most genuine, nicest people I've ever met in my life. We became friends very quickly, early 2007. And then he became a co-host of mine on CTV for almost 10 years. He's just what I call a Jose Canseco guest. You can throw anything at him and he's able to talk. He is a whiz when it comes to all things Windsor-Essex tourism and hospitality. The one and only Adriano Ciotoli is live on the Bumanlag Project. Brother, how are you?
Jose Canseco? You couldn't have picked someone a little more, on the ball.
No, listen, you are the man. I am. You understand how excited I was, one, to have you watch some previous episodes, because I think we caught your attention with Adam Castle a few weeks back. And I saw you in the stream and I'm like, I'm going to put him on the spot. And I'm just happy to see you because, God, I miss you. I'll be the first. I miss you, dude.
It's been way too long. I've kind of become a little bit of a hermit over the last year and a half. I think a lot of people have. They've kind of secluded into things that are comfortable for them. But I've missed you. It has been way too long.
It's been, it really has been. I mean, outside of the global pandemic, and I say in March 2020 when the world ended, it's been a long stretch, right? I mean, we went from being essentially co-hosts, right, for a number of years on CTV Windsor and A Channel, even way back then, to working with each other weekly. And I say often to people who still come up to me about the food segment we did, the cooking segment we did, Adriano wasn't just a host. Him and his sister Pina were not hosts with me, but they were certainly content producers. And you guys have always, you and Pina and WindsorEats have always put up such an amazing array of destinations and culinary experiences here in Windsor, Essex for folks to try. So I want to get to that, right off the bat. How have you guys been coping in the pandemic? I'd imagine you've a lot of pivots, right?
There have been so many pivots, way too many to count. And it's, I mean, not gonna lie, it's definitely been a difficult year and a half in the last little, the last year and a half has been difficult for a tourism business, especially one like ours that was so focused on people gathering together and being close and intimate and just people being together. So it's been a tough year, but it made us think a little differently and get those creative juices flowing, which I think we're gonna come out better for in the end of this.
Well, I think that's one thing that you and Pina do, and you do extremely well, is that you have that pulse of what's really happening and hot and cool, as the kids would say, in the culinary and hospitality sector. But I mean,
hip and cool,
hip and cool, as the kids would say, not square. but you're able to kind of take a look at things, Adriano, and map
Hmm.
it out to say, okay, how are we going to wrap our heads around the fact that we can't gather, we can't do these things, but you guys have done a few things. I mean, I just saw on CTV this week, you guys are doing some stuff with the new scooters, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of interesting, right?
No, it was something that we were really excited to see coming to the city. And I know there was a lot of, chatter online, positive and negative about it. And we thought it was such a great thing that was coming here. And we thought it was another way that we could utilize to really showcase the city in a fun and exciting way. So we reached out to Bird Canada, proposed an idea saying, we want to run tours on your bikes. We don't really know if you have a process for a formal partnership. Either way, whether you have one or not, we'd like to start one. And they love the idea. And we did a test one a few weeks ago, and it went fantastic. And we've had a great response since. I mean, it's still new and fresh, but we go around on the scooters visiting, some of the amazing murals that are now scattered throughout the city, and the numbers are still growing with the artwork. And then we learned some of the history behind graffiti as well as the city, and we've gotten some great feedback on it, and it's something that we're pretty excited about. And now hopefully be able to see if we can grow into more experiences and more tours on the scooters.
I think, some of the comments I saw, I know our buddy Adam Castle, he's tried him out, and I talked to Adam about it, and how amazing it is for Windsor to have something like this. And now that I'm working primarily in the city now, and I'm on the road, I passed by a fleet of these, and I thought it's nice to see Windsor and this area finally. I don't want to put it down, but like catch up to, like, I remember taking something similar, but not the same. In Chicago, right? You go to Chicago, you've got like these different things that you can go right across Millennium Park, and you go across the waterfront, like near Lake Michigan. With, it's nice to see Windsor can get these things and really showcase what we have to offer. You and I have said this for years. How much of a gem we have in the waterfront, and the downtown core as well.
No, and that was part of our thinking as well, is that we wanted to show different ways that these can be used, right? And show that they really are the scooters are something that are a benefit to the city, and are something that people should be happy that we have here, because it shows that we're, as we were saying before, a little more hip and cool of a city, and that
we're young and hip.
Yeah. Stay off my lawn. But it shows that we can have nice things, and that that we do have and not just saying that we're creative, but we do have creative minds that can utilize stuff like this to be able to offer things that are a bit different, and that maybe larger cities have, or even better, larger cities don't even have, that we're doing for the first time.
So do you see this as expanding over the next little bit, Adriano, in your opinion, in terms of, more investment from the city, and even offering more tours per se for these particular types of devices?
Like for ourselves, or for the city in general?
In general, either or. Like, would you guys, I mean, I'm sure you guys would like to expand the tours too, right? But like, do you see the city
100%.
like maybe doubling down on this over the next, 5 to 10 years?
I'm confident that they're going to. It seems like they're going to. I know there's been rumors of some more items coming into the city along these lines. So we're keeping our fingers crossed, because we these things are only good. They're only a positive. There's no way, unless you're a really grumpy person, to be able to say anything negative about these scooters coming into the city. Number one, they're a lot of fun. Like, they really are just a lot of fun to be on. But they also provide people another form of transportation. Like, this isn't even about tourism. This isn't even about, just entertainment. This can be a viable form of transportation for people that are looking to do short distances and get there rather quickly. So, I mean, there's nothing but positive from projects like this. And it's great to see that the city had decided to take this on.
It's great to see my guest on the show tonight. If you're just joining the live stream, we're live on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Love for you to comment. This is what the show is about. It's the Bumanlag Project. My guest, the one and only Mr. Adriano Ciotoli, is on the show. The live comments are coming in. Hey, shout out to Lenny. Lenny's commenting here. She goes, thank you guys
Tropical
for
Hut.
supporting local Tropical Hut. We were there a few weeks ago, exposed Liam first time to some palabok and some pancit, which is Filipino dishes. Folks, if you're watching the show, if you've never had authentic Filipino cuisine, boom,
Amazing. Yeah.
so good.
And they just
So good.
opened up within the last week, I think they just opened up a patio as well. So it's a
Nice.
great opportunity to get out there. That I know next week we're going to be going into phase 3. So indoor dining is going to happen. But for those that are still uncomfortable and want to dine outdoors, they just opened up a patio, which is exciting to see.
Lenny, thanks for the comments. We appreciate it. And yeah, check them out. They're on Goyo just before the tunnel, if I'm not mistaken, right?
So like
Yeah.
Goyo and Wyandotte.
Goyo and Wyandotte. You can't miss them. Tropical Hut. Lenny, thanks for watching the stream. Speaking of outdoor dining, one thing we used to do was ArmsEats on CTV. And I want to bring this up because this is a flashback. Are you ready for this? This is going to be kind of wild here. Take a look at this. This is us.
Holy cow.
Right? I've got glasses, and you, sir, are rocking like the full-on Bob Ross.
Dude, you couldn't have picked a more flattering photo of me, at least. Come on.
This is how long we've been doing the segment, though. Like this, I think was like 2010, 2010-ish.
Possible.
Down at the riverfront. Yeah. This is where we brought a lot of folks on from the local Windsor restaurant scene, though, right?
That is... Sorry, I'm having flashbacks seeing this photo right now. And all I'm thinking, because at the riverfront, that's when we had you stomping grapes on the riverfront.
With
Live on
Tom.
air.
Yeah, with Tom, was it Tom O'Brien from Cooper's Hawk, I think,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Tom O'Brien from Cooper's Hawk. Oh my gosh. That was something else, I'll tell you that. But that was fun. That was part of the draw, I guess, of the how we used to do things, right? And how we used to bring up those live guests. And a lot of folks don't appreciate, I think, the time and the effort it took for you and Pina to get those guests on the air with us.
If, for what, a minute and a half segment, 2 minutes, the amount of stress that would be caused as a result. And this is not throwing any restaurants or anything under the bus as a result, but we would always, because a lot of people, they're uncomfortable with being on camera, and I completely get it, especially when it's live. They get nervous, so they feel that they can do it, they're sure of it, and then whether the day before or even a lot of times the day of, we just get a call or a text message saying, I can't do it. And so then we would be scrambling last minute, being like, all right, we need someone new. We need a recipe. What do we got to do? We're on the air in 2 hours.
We're on the air in like 2 hours. We need some. And you would text me, and I would never, ever flinch, because I knew you guys would always come through in a pinch. Every Tuesday night we did this live. And then we did it on Olette in front of A Channel when we used to be where the Windsor Star is now. We did that for many years. And we used to deal with all sorts of folks who would either come watch the show or they would try to be involved in the show.
Just walk by in front of the camera.
reach for some of the food as we were cooking. And then
times though, those really were.
That was skill though. Like really, it was skill for us to kind of, or the people would drive by and honk at us as we were live. Like, hey, good to see you guys. So what's going on, Jim? And Jim's inside. We're here.
What would always kill me though is that it would always be dead silent until the red dot came on the camera, and then the chaos would start happening every single time.
It's like they knew instinctively when we were going to go live. But you were always so well polished. You always had the smile. I mean, nothing fazed you. I remember there was many times I'd have my smile on, and then we'd go off air, and I'd be like grumbling of this, that, and the other. And then we go to the riverfront, like that photo that we just saw. And then we would go up top. When we moved to the Bell Building in 2013, this is us.
That was a beautiful view up there.
That was a good time. And this is when we like legit had a whole table of food, like a full-on meal, and doing it live,
And a lot of people, I don't think they realize, like, we were actually cooking food. Like, this was real. And so a lot of the times, first of all, I felt bad for you because you would go and taste it like hot out of the pan or whatnot while it's still scalding hot. So I don't know how you did that. But then like there was like dishes that would feed like an entire family just left there for the whole staff, which were like dying to dig in.
Yeah, and everybody would say too, right? Like, oh, Arms, you must eat really well. And I'd say, like, by the time I do the bite, the arbitrary bite, which was like the old shtick, because everybody knew it was piping hot, and I would probably have third-degree burns, but I'd still do it. Uh, we'd leave it, and then you and Pina would have to, especially when we moved inside and we started to do the segment indoors. I think I've got a photo of that here. Diane says, "So hip and cool." Well, we tried to be. That's debatable. But here's that's us. Oh, here we go. Remember when we moved inside to the kitchen? And then a lot of people
Oh
didn't
yeah.
know a few feet away from that broadcast was literally where Jim broadcast from. And we would have to be
Jim's elbow sticking out right
right. And Jim was always so gracious. The man is a consummate professional. Like, I love the guy to death. And he would just go with it. But you guys would have to like ninja your way to put away everything, which was insane.
Well, and I think the worst was if he was doing the broadcast and whether you or I said something and then you get into those little giggle fits and you're having to be like dead silent as Jim's trying to be serious about the news.
I know. And everyone would be like, well, you guys are in your own studio. I'm like, no, this was not Fox 2. Like, we... It was literally
like if you turn the camera, it's basically how your shield just disappeared right now because we zoomed in.
Yep.
That's where Jim
like this.
Yeah, exactly. That's where Jim was, basically.
I'm going to get to that shield in a second here, too. There's a lot of folks say, like, what's the deal with the shield? But we'll tell you that and how you're connected to that, too. But one last thing here. This brings me great joy. I want to show you this if I can bring it up properly. This was our final ArmsEats. I think this was November of 2017. We look very young, very enthusiastic there.
I think we look for the last show. I think we look a little too enthusiastic.
Well, it was just bittersweet. We did it for like 10 years and counting, right? But it was a lot of fun.
I still miss them a lot. They were a lot of fun. As stressful as they were sometimes, it wasn't because of you. They were a lot of fun.
Oh, God bless you. Hey, Michelle Plunkett's on the live stream here, and she was a guest of ours for many episodes. She goes, I remember those days cooking at the waterfront. She goes on to say, yeah, we all look so very young.
Yeah. Can I also say, I don't know when this was, but it was when we were on the downtown, on Olette Avenue in downtown. Do you remember when we jumped on the tandem?
Okay. This was like, I showed Carrie, my wife, that video, and she's like, oh my God, like, if I was with you when you did this, because this was like when we first started doing the show, like the segment, she goes, it's so embarrassing. Not for Adriano. Adriano's cool.
Oh no, it was still embarrassing.
We were like, I remember Jim, like I remember in my earpiece, because I would always have the earpiece, and I remember biking on the Tamden bike with you, and we had some B-roll of you guys doing I think you guys were doing tours, right? The wine country stuff. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to end the segment with something. So we hop on the tandem bike, and my legs are bow-legged like this. And I'm trying to get at that point I was a little bit heavier, trying to get my butt on the bike, and you're just laughing. And we start to swerve around like a drunk Laverne and Shirley down Olette. And I hear Jim in my earpiece, literally Crichton's in my earpiece, just dying, like laughing. And that's how I always like, it's a good bit when Jim would be smiling from ear to ear, and he goes, well, there you go. There's Arms Bumanlag and Adriano down the street. And I remember we almost took out that lady coming out of the convenience store, and she and I was our Dave, our cameraman, was like dying too because the camera was shaking. Oh, that was a good. that video is on your YouTube page.
I think it is on the YouTube page.
It is on your YouTube page.
YouTube it. I'm pretty sure it's out there.
Yeah, see, Carrie saw that video. It's on WindsorEats YouTube page.
And she still married you. That's something. That's
let's just say she's seen the worst. Let me tell you. Adriano Ciotoli is my guest on the show tonight. I was going to call it ArmsEats. Oh my God. The Arms Bumanlag project on the air, our live stream broadcast, podcast, whatever you want to call it, WindsorEats.com. Adriano is on the show. So blessed to have him on the program. What a great guy. We're talking tourism. We were talking about some of the cool technology and I guess vehicles they have for folks to ride and some of the cool tours that WindsorEats is doing in the midst of the pandemic. And we're kind of reminiscing about some of our cooking experiences that we've had over the years between AM 800 too. I used to have you on the air at AM 800 from time to time. And when I say Jose Canseco guest, anytime somebody would bail on me on AM 800, like somebody wouldn't show up for, because we would do everything live on AM 800. I used to hate taping anything. It was always live. You got to do it live. And I would call you, I'd text you. And you know how many times Adriano would be like, dude, we just had like a whiskey thing last night. Are you serious? And I'm like, yeah, just come on the show. Don't worry. Like, somebody bailed. Like, I need you to, like, you got to talk to me. And then we ended up turning into a great segment. Like, you and Pino were always available for me. And to that, I thank you guys.
I think there was even a time there was like something super early in the morning, like super early in the morning. And I can't remember this. I can't recall, but I remember doing an interview where I was basically still head on the pillow, like eyes closed, eyes closed, possibly still in a dream state.
It's the beauty of radio, right? Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
Now, mind you, I say super early in the morning, but like I'm not a morning person, so it could have been like 11:30. Who knows? Who knows?
But honestly, there was not a time you or Pina, if one of you couldn't have made it, but somebody from the WindsorEats team would jump on the air. And then that's the great part about it is you guys always have no shortage of content and cool things happening, because you always had something on the go. You were working on something, you were doing something new. I reminisce about, you did dinner on the Pier, which was always a big hit. I never got out to that, but I know Greg Ganip from the formerly of the River, he used to go to that frequently and used to speak volumes about it. But I mean, I love the fact that you guys would take sort of like those gems of Windsor that people appreciate, or I hope they appreciate, like that pier near the bridge, and say, how can we make this an experience?
Well, no, and that's kind of it. And it's actually almost the opposite, where we would look at things and say, why aren't people appreciating this? Or appreciating it more. And
sure.
I mean, a lot of the things that Pina and I do for WindsorEats or create, it's always like it's always just, what do I like doing? Like, what do we like to do when we go away on vacation? What are we doing in other cities? What do I enjoy doing? Because if we like it, there has to be other people that enjoy it, right? We can't be the only ones enjoying it. So, I mean, that's kind of how we start molding a lot of the stuff. And we look at it and be like, is there anything similar in Windsor? I mean, mind you, not everything is created that way, but a lot of it is just like, I enjoy doing this, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of other people that would enjoy doing it. And that's kind of dinner on the pier. We looked at it as, we thought that view at that pier was absolutely stunning. And people, I don't think, I mean, aside from the fishermen early in the morning utilizing it, I don't think truly appreciated how gorgeous it really is there. I mean, say what you will about the bridge, but it's absolutely iconic, and it's right over top of you, and then looking out at the Detroit skyline, and even seeing the Windsor skyline from there, and having the waves crash around you on the pier. It's an absolutely beautiful sight. And when we did dinner on a pier, I mean, obviously we would spruce it up a little bit more, and we would have people that would leave comments saying, like, I felt like I was at a seaside resort, which you would never think anyone say. Awesome. You would never think anyone would say that about the city of Windsor, but I mean, we are a water town, right? We're completely surrounded by it. So it's great that something like that was kind of utilizing that space. And yeah, hopefully this year, fingers crossed, we'll be able to get it going this year, especially now that we're heading into brighter days. We're hoping that we'll be able to get some of our old events back. Yeah, exactly. We're hoping to be able to get some of our old events back. So we're cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, I hope so for you guys too, and I hope so for the restaurant industry. I mean, I think everybody in the region and anybody who's watching the show right now, I think everybody's done their part to get the takeout. And when we've got in and out of lockdowns, and then they do the events on the patios, supporting the restaurants and the servers and the industry folks as much as we can. I mean, we've done that, but I think it's going to be hopefully light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, I was saying to somebody the other day, at some point we're going to have to, life moves on. And, I think with, the case counts are fairly low now. It would just be really nice to see folks back in restaurants. Like Carrie and I went out here in Amherstburg. I think it was the day they started to loose the restrictions about a month ago. And it was just really nice to see everybody on Dalhousie. Everybody was on the streets, socially distanced, of course. Some folks still wearing masks, some folks not. But it was just nice to see. And then we made it a point, because we're able to generously tip the server that was, I think we were at the Artisan Grill here in town, and and I love that place. I really, their surf and turf burger, oh, so good. But we try to make it known that we want to contribute, right? Because I'm sure you've heard those stories, right, from the folks who utilize WindsorEats about how the industry has been really hurting over the last
No,
18, 19 months.
absolutely. I mean, the hospitality industry was one of the hardest hit, right? And even now, they're still, even as things are reopening, they're still struggling because a lot of them are wanting to expand, obviously wanting to expand their services to be able to serve more customers, but they're really struggling finding staff now. And so they struggled throughout, and it was absolutely amazing to see the community really kind of rally around and support by, ordering takeout or delivery, and really, realizing that this is a real moment where, that term use it or lose it is going to apply, that if you don't support these businesses, when things come back to normal, they're not going to be there anymore. So it was really nice to see. We're keeping our fingers crossed that carries over to the entertainment and the tourism side of things, like even festivals and events, because restaurants were extremely hit, no doubt about it. They, at the very least, were able to do takeout. Things like Windsor International Film Festival, our Windsor Craft Beer Festival, Carousel of Nations, nothing. Well, Carousel of Nations is a different not-for-profit, but and are bringing in revenue other ways as well. But they had nothing coming in, and even organizations like us had nothing coming in. So we're hoping, as things start reopening, as events start happening, that people realize it's the same way with those festivals and events that they love. That hopefully, when they come back, that they're willing to show that same love and support in hopes that they don't disappear.
It's a double-edged sword, and Jim's in the live stream too, saying, "Come on, step 3. It's not a real date night without dinner." You said that right. We were actually Carrie and I were actually debating Black Widow. The new Marvel film is on Disney Plus tonight, and I said, "Listen, I got to do the show with Adriano. It might be a barn burner. I don't know how long this is going to go, but I would like to watch it." She goes, "Well, don't you want to go see it in the theater?" And I'm like, yeah, like I do, but I kind of like watching it at home, and maybe we'll grab some takeout. We'll grab something after we're done the show with Adriano. But I hope people realize too that, it is a double-edged sword in the sense that it's probably going to take some time to get things back to what they were in terms of efficiency, because like, as Michelle commented in the feed too, it's going to be hard to find staff. I think that's an issue
Really
with some
difficult.
folks too,
No, absolutely, extremely difficult. And I mean, we're looking at it as well. For even myself, never had anxiety in my life, and now all of a sudden, I see people on TV and movies gathered together, and I'm like, how are they doing that? but like, like like it eats away, and there's absolutely going to be, I mean, it's been long enough that people are forming habits now, right? And habits have been formed, so it's going to be a little bit. And I think even for Windsor Essex, it's going to be a little longer before things really get back to normal for us here, at least from a tourism standpoint and an event and festival standpoint. Just because there's a lot of talk, and this is something that I believe in and fully believe in, is that there's been all this talk about a staycation boom, that a lot of locals, are going to start going out and experiencing their own community. But what a lot of people, first of all, what we've seen from looking at other destinations during the pandemic is that that's not really happening. That staycation boom has been kind of a myth in a lot of places, especially for urban places. No one is really visiting any urban place. They're getting out into nature, getting out into rural settings where they're not really going to be around a lot of people, because that anxiety is still there. And I think for Windsor Essex, you have, number one, the border is still closed. That takes away so many of our visitors right there and our customers. And even if it does reopen, there's still going to be restrictions here, which a lot of Americans are really against having any more restrictions, and they're being removed completely over there. So are they going to come here when they know that they're still going to have to put on a mask? They're still going to have to be distanced, things along those lines. So that's going to be a barrier. But also, you have WindsorEats that are probably going to be going elsewhere as well. I mean, even myself, everyone, they want to get out of town. They've been here for so long, right? That you want to head out. And really from London up, they're looking at going up to nature like Muskoka, Algonquin. So I think up until 2022, I think it's going to be a little bit more of a struggle for the Windsor area. And there definitely are a lot of people staying in the Harrow cottages, but I still think from that experiences side of things that they're really going to venture out much. Patios, yes, they will absolutely do, but doing tours, events, or festivals, I think maybe a little people may be a little slower, as you mentioned, to adjust to.
I think it's all comfort level, right? And it's really how people feel. Like I know for us, like as a family, like I want to take Liam, my son, out. I want to. I mean, we were kind of going to restaurants before the pandemic hit. We just started bringing him in to, like we took him to Lone Star for my mom's birthday once, and he had a blast. And but I look at like different family restaurants that are in the area. I think about the different restaurants I'd love to take, like Motor Burger or something like that. And it's like, yeah, we'll get there. Like I'm sure we'll get there. Like for me personally, like I will continue to wear a mask. I see the benefits of it. It's honestly, I prefer wearing one. And I'll continue to do that. But I think it's just really that comfort level for a lot of folks too. And you guys must see that too in terms of, some of the tours and things that you're doing now, right? It's just really the comfort level for folks and what they're comfortable with.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, we even see, even when things reopened for phase 2, I mean, we put our tours available, we put them out there, we started offering, but we also did kind of 2-tier where, yes, we have public tours, but if you wanted to do group tours, and we lowered the number of people that you would need for a private tour, just because we knew that some people are wanting to go out, but they're still not being comfortable about it, or they're still not comfortable about it. So we allowed for easier access for a private tour to be booked as well. But we're even seeing things for those. It's been definitely been slower. Even last year, things were very quick as far as ticket sales once the tours became available. But this year has been much slower. So, I mean, but it's all that comfort level, right? It's absolutely all that comfort level.
And that's why it's so crucial. I think folks watching the stream or listening to the podcast, by the way, we do turn this show into a podcast. It goes up usually within an hour once we're done the show. You can search the Arms Bumanlag Project on anywhere you get your podcasts from, Spotify, Apple Store. It's all there for you. Yeah, people need to feel comfortable about it. And then hopefully we start to get those vibes going again about the different events. I mean, one of the ones that you dropped just a few moments ago that I wanted to talk about here is one of my favorite events. Man, like this was probably like one of my all-time favorite events to do with you guys. This was live. This is the first beer fest. This is us tapping a keg of beer like a bunch of college kids.
Look how much beer you've wasted right there, by the way.
Look how happy I am to drink on television, give you the weather, and have a beer.
Can I point out as well, that was 2013, very first year. Look how small the crowd is right there.
Yeah, that was like the inaugural event, right?
Yeah.
But did you see the one guy behind me with the toque and the shorts? He was just as excited to have that beer tapped. He's like, Weatherman's tapping the beer. I'm going to have some too. This is great.
I think you just were happy. What is it, Donkey Kong? Or you have the mallet that you hit all the barrels with? I think you were just happy like that.
Well, I remember the shoot, right? Because we were doing this, again, live on the air. And we interviewed you and Pina about, the beer fest and, how cool it was, his first time event. And then I remember before we went live, you said to me, you're like, dude, you got to make sure that you hammer it. Like you tap this because it's going to look really lame if you don't tap this. And I'm like, oh my God, like I never really did this in college. Like, how do I tap a keg? Right. And I'm like hitting it, like just trying. And then Pina's like, well, you got to like really get it. But yeah. I remember we just creamed it. And back to you, Jim. Oh, Arms is live in Walkerville. As soon as the camera's off, have a beer. That's good.
Yeah. I would like to point out, I told you how to do it, but even to this day, I've never actually tapped a keg myself like that.
Come on, really?
The normal way, but not with the mallet and the actual nozzle like that. No, I get other people to do the hard work. These are soft hands. Come on.
You're like, I wonder if I can get Arms down here to broadcast live. But those were like, honestly, when we used to do, because I think that was on like a Friday, if I'm not mistaken.
I think, yeah.
And that was outside of our usual WindsorEats, ArmsEats segments on Tuesdays. So when we were able to go out in the community on Fridays, I think that was like a lot of people say like, well, you're all over the place, but those times of events, like when we were actually in the community at a live event, I mean, for me speaking, doing it for as long as I did, that's where like the adrenaline kicks in, right? Especially when you got a crowd kicking. It's something about it. It's like you're live, you're in the element, you're feeling it. We had fun. We had fun.
Well, it's that fear of the unknown of what's going to happen around you as well, right? Which makes it so exciting and gets that adrenaline going. At least it does for me. I'm the same way where I kind of I'm better. I work better when I'm under pressure like that. But I do want to point out as well, first of all, because I don't think I've ever done it, ever actually told you, and now that we have an audience, I might as well, is that the support that it's a good thing. Don't worry, it's not a bad thing.
This is what the project's all about. It's off the cuff. It's raw. It's real.
But like the support that you gave so many different events and so many different organizations like throughout the years really has been incredible. And
Thanks,
I
man.
want to thank you even just for everything that you've done for WindsorEats is a big thank you. And I know Pina feels the same way as well and is really thankful for everything you did.
Listen, I when
You told me
this
to
year,
say that, so you're going to be able to pay me afterwards.
yeah. Hang on, let me write you a check now. Where's my checkbook here in my office? Hang on.
All right.
But all kidding aside, though, I got the sign up in my office here behind me. I don't know if you folks can see it here, but it says, "We rise by lifting each other up," and I firmly believe that. I think, I said to somebody the other day, everybody wants to ride on the limo with you, but it's your real friends that'll get on the bus with you. And Adriano has been there with me on the limo, and he's been there with me on the bus. And I'm all about, especially in 2021, you surround yourself with good people and getting back to what makes me feel happy. And working with people like you and Pina, it was just easy. And it was no secret. Like I tell people all the time, like, when we used to do those events and, the coverage, and was it news? Depends on who you ask, right? I can sit here and debate with somebody about what qualifies as news in social media age till the cows come home. But what I consider, like I look at Carrie, I use my wife again as a barometer. She doesn't really phase her what the latest stuff is coming out of Queen's Park, but she is thoroughly excited when there is a article about a new restaurant opening up in Walkerville when they turned God rest his soul, Mark Boscario's place into the Greek place I drove by the other day. To her, that's news. So like what is news, right? So then I would look at, say, Detroit television, especially when we were doing the TV stuff. And I would look at Detroit TV and Chuck Gatica, who was like one of my mentors, one of my idols, really. They'd send Chuck out to go do food segments all the time. And I would sit there and I'd say, well, why can't we do that in Windsor? Granted, Detroit's one of the major markets in the United States. I think it's number 7 out of all the markets you can be in for television.
Yeah, but it's even better reason to look up to what they're doing, though.
Yeah, it's not reinventing the wheel. It's you find somebody who's doing something good and you put your own spin on it. And God, I will die on a cross for this or fall on a cross for this. You give people some local. You gotta let them know I think if anything, if there's many things this pandemic has taught folks, is the importance of local voices and the importance of getting your information from a local source.
But not even just local, but also the good aspect of it as well, and that it's not all just negative, because then that's when you kind of have people starting to tune it out, right?
Yeah,
at least that's my thought.
No, and I'm glad you brought that up because we're selling the mugs now with the show logo, which I've got yours. I got to drop it off at your house. We're selling the mugs with the show logo, and I said to Carrie, I always wanted to do some swag for a show. There was never any budget for it. So now that I'm doing my own show, I teamed up with Divinyl Designs, and Debbie over at Divinyl says to me, she goes, it's cool that you're doing like good news. And I said, yeah, it's good news. It's real conversations, and it's a conversation back and forth with folks. But there's a study that was just released where they said, you have to stay up to date on what's happening. You should stay up to date what's happening in the news. But if you are constantly being bombarded by the same negative, I'm going to say crap, over and over again, it's not good for your mental health. It's not good for conversations. And I'm not saying that you can't hold people accountable. And I'm not saying that not everything's going to be sunshine and lollipops. Okay. But you have, I think, an equal duty to highlight those unique voices and that original content and some of the good news to offset some of that as well. Because you can't constantly be berated by all this negativity. Like, it just, for me, it's like, you're right. I just click out. I'm done. Give me something
Well,
new.
it's kind of like what the story of to some extent, the story of the boy who cried wolf, right? You keep yelling out, eventually people stop listening.
It's just, I just to go back to what you said though, brother, it's like, I was just very fortunate to be able to spend a lot of time with a lot of folks and get to know a lot of people, and really talk about what this area, what I think finally this area is starting to see, is that, these folks coming in from Toronto and all over the place, settling here in Windsor, that it's a beautiful area and there's some really cool stuff happening here in the region. Oh, God bless you, Michelle. We appreciate the comments as well.
Michelle.
Jim saying, "Ray, right on." Right
I don't
on,
know for
Adriano.
what, but I agree with you, Jim.
Wow. And then there's some nice quick plug there from the missus as well. It's just, it is what it is. And, it's, you can have difficult conversations with folks. And I think you can hold people accountable. You can ask tough questions, but Windsor's a small enough town that you can also be very respectful and mindful of folks as well.
Well, absolutely. And the thing I love about Windsor as well is that it's also small enough that you can actually make a difference. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to feel like the small fish in the big pond if you're in Toronto or something, that what you're doing might not make a difference. Like, it's much easier to make a difference here. I'm not saying that we're small-minded, because we're absolutely not, but it's almost that right size.
Yeah, and it's and I think Windsor's in a really good position personally. I work closely with Roy LePage Binder Real Estate as well, and some of the content that we've been talking about through the brokerage lens in the last little bit has been, certainly there's been an influx of folks coming from the GTA area down here to Windsor, which is, you're going to see, right? I mean, to them, they're selling their properties for 1.5 million in Toronto, coming down here, and they're getting like decent sized houses for that. But I think people are really surprised to see, what this region has to offer. And Windsor's in that position, I think, in the next 10 to 15 years, where we're really in a unique opportunity where we're going to be able to have those relationships build and those communities build. Like, I say this every time when I have guests on the show. I don't know why it amazes me, but it does. I was out in Tecumseh because I'm working now in the city primarily. I was going to a donor's house, and I couldn't believe Manning Road and 22. Like, to me, I don't know if you've been out there lately, but they've got they got a hotel right behind Sobeys now. They've got a lot of the brownstone townhouses, and I was like, man, this is like, it's like a Mississauga feel. I know it's terrible, not terrible to say, but it just seems like there's so much activity, and it's nice to see that. I think we're getting to that point where we're starting to grow.
Yeah, no, it's, for the longest time, I think WindsorEats were their own worst enemies. In terms of how they actually spoke of their city, or to even just showcase their city. But I think that's been starting to change in the last couple of years. At least I'm keeping my fingers crossed. It just seems that that there just seems to be a different way that people are starting to talk about Windsor, which is lovely to see, because there's so much potential in this area.
Yeah, it'll be something great, I think, and especially for you guys at WindsorEats. I mean, you'll be able to continue to do some really cool stuff and do some really neat and unique events. Which you got to be thinking about some stuff, right? Like, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I know you're constantly thinking about different events and things, and other things are starting to loosen up. I know last time when I was at CBC, you and I were talking about turning Canadian Club Center in that area, focusing a little bit more on whiskey. And I know you have the Whiskey
absolutely.
Town stuff.
And
is that
for the last few years, I mean, there's a lot to offer here in Windsor, Essex, but we really felt like to really get people's attention to come visit an area, you have to be different. You have to be unique. We have an amazing wine region, but when people are looking at wine regions, you're obviously having to compare with Niagara now. You're having to compare with Prince Edward County, which is just outside the GTA. Even Michigan is getting a growing wine region now as well. So to be able to lure people, is that something that's enough? Same with breweries. Yes, breweries were and they're still amazing, and national award-winning breweries here in Windsor. But almost every city and town you go to now has a handful of breweries. So that won't necessarily be enough to people. They play an important part in the entire puzzle, but there's nothing like and they're probably going to hate me for saying this, but they might not necessarily be the main thing that entices people to come down. There'll be the complimentary piece that ensures that they visit. And so we looked at it as there was nothing really being promoted from a Windsor standpoint or a Windsor Essex standpoint that was uniquely us. When we have that story, we have North America's largest distillery here. We're the birthplace of Canadian Club. We have the rum running history. These are things that not even Kentucky to some extent can touch us on. And so we looked at it as, why not embrace that and really showcase that? So for a few years now, we've really been pushing the angle of having Windsor and Essex County really known as Whiskey Town, Canada. And we started developing the tours around whiskey. We developed the festival around whiskey. It's great to see the investment that Hiram Walker has now put, and Pernod Ricard and Corby's have put into creating their experience center now. Wolfhead is starting to do amazing things now, and so it's really starting to grow. And once you start kind of building capacity of things around those whiskey experiences, whiskey tourists have and spend a lot of money.
I do like my whiskey.
Absolutely. And they search it out. They're willing to spend more. They're willing to stay more or stay longer, which are exactly the types of tourists that you want. These are people that are well educated and have a lot of disposable income. And they're not going to be doing it if they stay for 4 days, 3-4 days. They're not going to be doing something whiskey morning, noon and night. They're going to venture out and do all these other experiences, which is where the breweries come in, the wineries come in, the experiences, other tours come in, shopping, all these other parts then kind of are the spokes around the hub that is whiskey. And we've had great success with it so far, and we're hoping once the pandemic is over that we can really start pushing it again.
What about pot? Like,
are you offering?
That's another episode for a later date. That's going to be a branch off show.
Here's my thought on pot. We had an opportunity, and I think we lost it.
With pot?
With pot, I really do. Especially being a border town, I don't think it was fully embraced. And Michelle's laughing there. I still think it'll have a great retail aspect. I think it's still going to be popular from a retail standpoint. From a visitor standpoint, I really think that it wasn't fully embraced in this region right off the get-go when Michigan still hadn't legalized it. But now Michigan has legalized it, and they've really have taken it, I think, a little bit of a step further than what Ontario or Windsor Essex at least has from experiences, which we lost that opportunity to now bring those visitors over with something that for a while they were able to get here that they couldn't get there, which is unfortunate. But
yeah, because we had, like you said, we were sort of out of the gate before they could kind of get their ducks in a row, so to speak, or buds in a row. But I think, and you talk about like there's the good old puns. They're coming out again. But you got a Freya in the county. You've got a lot of these greenhouse growers making the pivots to marijuana, and that production with it as well. And then you take a look at some of the unique things that have happened, even like in Denver, Colorado. Like I saw on NBC News with Lester Holt a few weeks ago. They had some sort of story, but they were showcasing a particular dispensary, and literally right beside the dispensary was like a pizza place, and it was the same owner, but like they had like you get your joint and you go get a slice, like
brilliant,
and they had like a line, like it was kind of crazy. And I don't know, it's just they made the big deal about it. I remember we covered so much of that stuff at the CBC when I was there, and it's just like you said, it just kind of faded away.
I think there's so many restrictions around it right now. And come on, Michelle, you should know we love the dad jokes.
That's my whole life now, Michelle. Honestly.
Sorry, I was just thinking of a joke in my head. But I think there's, from an Ontario standpoint, there's so many restrictions around it. And I get it. When something first happens or first comes out, you're going to heavily restrict it and then eventually start easing it. But I think because of that, I think a lot of opportunity was lost as to from a tourism standpoint, what could have happened with cannabis. Which hopefully I'm wrong. I always, when I say stuff like that, I always hope I'm wrong. But maybe, we do have one of the largest growers in the area that hopefully, as things ease up and they're able to start doing tours and create experiences around it, that it can start bringing people in, much like we have North America's largest distillery here. We have that now, one of the largest growers here, which could be beneficial when restrictions ease a little bit.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, my friend. I remember when it was 2014, you were on me to get my button gear and go check out Canadian Club and the brand center, and I was like, yeah. Born and raised here in Windsor. I'll get to it. I went, and I got to tell you, that was one of the most memorable Sundays I spent, because I was like into the Boardwalk Empire phase on HBO, so Steve Buscemi and all that stuff, and I was like blown away just because of like the experience that was there. Are they pre-pandemic? Were they open, or was that on the fence, or what was up with that?
Like how pre-pandemic?
Yeah, well, we're say 2019, right? 2019-ish. Were they still open or no?
No, I don't think they were open in 2019. No, they definitely weren't open in 2019 or going into the pandemic, which is unfortunate. And there's a whole backstory behind that, and I'm not aware of everything behind it, which is unfortunate because it really is part of that unique story that we have as well. So to be able to welcome the public into that space would be absolutely incredible, and another massive, not even a piece of the puzzle, but like the border, the whole frame of the puzzle to really help tie everything together as well. So hopefully one day, hopefully we'll be able to see it reopen soon, but I can't foresee that happening soon, really, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, it was epic, right? Like I have pictures of it, and we had such a good time, and that was because you're like, hey, dude, you got to check this out. It's pretty cool, man. Like, you're gonna love it. Adriano Ciotoli is my guest on the show. WindsorEats.com. I remember too, like when the food trucks started to come to town, and you were like, dude, you got to try this one, this one, this one, and then we would bring some of them on TV, and then we would eat well afterwards. I remember we did where is it? You guys were teamed up with Chris Uzinski for the zombie run. Was it 2015? And then there were some food trucks there too. And that was fun, right? You run a 5K and then you pig out.
Well, I'm happy you brought up Chris Uzinski as well, because first of all, he's a great individual, but he was another, much like I was talking about earlier, about those businesses and those organizations that were putting on events that were all about people gathering. I think a lot of people realize, like, his whole business essentially had to stop. Like, you couldn't do group runs anymore, and who knows what it's going to be like when you're doing runs anymore, right? And so hopefully that's not something that has been lost forever, at least in this area, because Chris was absolutely amazing at what he would be hired by like multinational corporations across North America to organize running events for them. And like, he was amazing at what he did. And it was special that he was in Windsor. At least to me, it was special that he was in Windsor and still doing these smaller scale events in Windsor as well.
Chris was the dude who got my butt off the couch when I was working out before I got married, to do a 5K. And my first 5K was here in the beautiful town of Amherstburg. We did the Canada Day run, and I actually did it. I think our time was like, my medals are somewhere here in the office, and my medal was like 28 minutes. And it was it was an experience, right? You're doing the 5K fine, you hit the markers, but then he's got like a Bob and Doug McKenzie lookalike over near the beer store, cat calling you as you run by. And then he's got, somebody dressed up like a RCMP officer. Like, it was those extra touches that made it a very special experience.
Well, no, exactly. And I don't know if people knew, hopefully they knew, but like, he brought the color run here. That's massive. Like, that's absolutely massive that the color run happened here in Windsor. And that was a result of Chris. And so like he knew his industry, knows it very well, and it really was the amount of people from outside the area that he brought here was incredible. And I'm happy you brought him up because he does deserve a lot of credit for what he did for providing some of those fun activities and well run fun activities for people to do.
Quick plug for Chris too. Chris and Greg Unip, formerly of 93.9 The River, they have a weekly show that they do, much like this show. And they dive into some topics like runs and different pop culture items too. You can find more on Chris Uzinski's page too. We're going to try to get those guys on the program over the next little bit. They're just fantastic dudes. Speaking of fantastic dude, I want to get back from like the tourism thing and the work talk about how much you and I bonded over the years. This was like, I think early 2016. I sat you down after one ArmsEats episode and I said, listen, man, I want you to be my master of ceremonies at my wedding.
Can I tell you how sorry.
All right. It's a live stream. It's good.
Fine.
This is raw. This is raw.
All right, good. I'm going to say it again, though. Can I tell you how fucked up that was? You're a news broadcaster. Your whole circle is news broadcasters. And then I'm asked to go up on stage and be the MC talking to them all, which I'm so grateful for, and I so appreciate it, and I love doing it. I absolutely did, and I was honored to do it.
Okay, so the reason why, I told you, like, you and I got along like two peas in a pod, right? And I knew that Jim Crichton, I wasn't going to ask him for a couple of reasons. One, I wanted him to enjoy himself, him and Pat. And two, I wanted you to be up there because you knew my dad, you knew my mom, we hung out a couple of times and you kind of got to know the family over the years too. So, and you're very personable, right? Like you're off the cuff, you were good. And I was like, I was going to invite you to the wedding anyways, but I was like, man, I'm going to put him on the spot. And I remember you're like, really? And I speaking of whiskey, do you remember I got you that bottle of whiskey and I made custom labels? You still have it?
A little bit of it left.
I did for everybody who was in the wedding. I got them. I love Canadian Club. Like if I'm drinking whiskey, it's Canadian Club small batch 12 year. And I actually designed special superhero graphics for, and yours I think was Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, I got Skywalker with his lights. Well, the water bottle I was even drinking, right?
The
Stormtroopers.
Star Wars Stormtroopers.
Yeah,
but it was just such a blessing, and it was funny. We were looking at our wedding video the other day, and there's some gems on there too, of you just with some of the one-liners and stuff. It was just so well done. So I just publicly.
I'm extremely grateful and honored that you asked me, and I really enjoyed it. I really did.
Well, that's the thing when you were like, dude, what's with that shield? That's the shield, the Captain America shield that I walked down the aisle with when we got hitched. I still kept it. I used to have it in my garage, but once I got my home office up and running, nice reminder too. But everyone's like, oh, is that a Captain America shield? I'm like, yeah. Jim saying, yeah, no pressure, eh? All the news people there, one way or another, you end up on TV. Yeah, it was good. But I look back, when you look back at the past and you look back at, people that come into your life and really inspire you to be better, do better, think more about other folks and to really just, be passionate about something. I think that to me, you're like right at the top of the list for me because you've always, in any capacity through my career in broadcast, whether it was AM 800 or CTV or the CBC, anytime I was looking for a local spin on things or looking local angle, like I would call you up for, when Uber Eats was coming to town, right? So what does that mean? So let's go to our expert, Adriano, or, when we were doing some of the live streams on CBC after the 6 o'clock show, you were always there for me. And I really appreciate it. And, folks will still come up to me every once in a while and bring up about, our cooking segment and stuff. And I would say, yeah, he's just a solid individual. So you're very, Windsor's blessed to have you and Pina in it. I'm blessed to call you a friend. And I think you don't get told enough about how vitally important your role is in the city and how much of a big heart you have. So
thank you. that first of all, it means a lot coming from you, and yeah, I mean, of course, I would always step in, and not even from a selfish standpoint. It's just that shit. Arms needs help. He needs someone to fill the spot. All right, I'm doing it. I'll be there for him. Like that. That was the mindset that I always went in. You mentioned passion. I'm very much a person that is all in. Like when I say I'm doing something, you have my full attention, all my heart, my passion, everything is going into it. Right. I don't dip my toe in. I'm jumping right into the deep end, which is hilarious because I don't even know how to swim, but I'll figure it out. Right. which to me, on the opposite end, that's why you mentioned Pina, is that I'm so thankful Pina is there as part of WindsorEats as well, because a lot of times she's the one that's having to fish me out of jumping into the deep end, and really like, all right, let's bring it back a little bit.
Rein it in.
Let's think about this a little bit. So I mean,
that's right.
And I feel bad that she's always put in that position because of me. but I mean, we balance each other out. But yeah, I'm always, if I believe in something, if I like something, and I'm there and I'm supporting it, I'm jumping in 100% with everything I've got, and that pretty much goes with everything in my life, good or bad.
I mean, I think the older we get, I'm turning 40 this year.
We're young, hip, and cool. Remember,
young, hip, and those. It's like, what is that music on the radio they're doing there? I don't understand them, and I don't understand all these kids. No, I've turned into that old man though. Like I really have. And Carrie says you are just grumpy, and I'm like, she's like, you're a grump, and I'm like, I've many times in different meetings I've said, millennials, they got that thing that they're doing there, and it's like on the TikTok what they're doing there, like. I used to think I knew what it was, and then they changed what it was, and now I wish I knew what it was so I could be with it. Honestly, I just feel like my sister's my sister Marissa, she's up in London now. She's a teacher in the London District School Board, and very happy for her. She graduated the U, and she's living her life up there, and we see her every couple of weekends. And my other sister, Vanessa, she's at the U here in town for psychology. And they come over to our house. We have a bonfire at my place now. I just kind of sit back with a beer and listen to them talk. And it's like, I don't understand what you guys are saying. I don't get it. I don't know. I feel old.
I do. I've been having a few more moments like that. But then I also still have moments where, it's 11 o'clock at night. I lean back and I'm watching cartoons.
Same. But and then I get mad at the
around during the day in short shorts and a tank top and flip flops.
Dude, I seriously, that's what, if I don't have to leave the house, I'm wearing flip flops all the time. And you talk about the cartoons, it's like, I'm the same way too. Like Carrie has her shows that she watches. And then I'm like, I just got into Rick and Morty. So I've been watching a lot of Rick and Morty and catching up.
A great one.
Oh my God. It's such a good show. And I try to watch some of the other stuff. And it's like, again, it's like, I'm like, kind of get my glasses on, and I'm doing one of these. I got my blue light glasses. I'm like, what is that on the television there that they're talking about?
Please tell me. Yeah, please tell me you raise them up, or bring them down and then put them back.
Yeah. Is that the TikTok? Is that they got that TikTok there where they're doing this and this and this, and they're pointing at different things. And then you swipe up and swipe down. Is that the same thing as the Tinder? Nobody knows. I don't know. I don't know anything anymore.
I will say, I've never really acted my age ever.
Hence my office, right?
I think that helps me in people thinking I'm not as old as I am, mainly because I don't act anything like I should.
Well, I think age. Okay, they always say age is a number, fine, right? But what really devastated me. Okay, so speaking of TikTok, I do know what TikTok is. I am on TikTok. I have not posted anything on TikTok. I'm not ready to go down that road yet. Thank you very much. But I will do the swiping and watching everybody's feeds and laughing and finding some fun stuff. Right?
That's great entertainment.
Oh my God, it's so good. It's so good. Sometimes though, here's my issue with TikTok. Okay. I get people want to get on there, and I get like people become viral on TikTok and they do all that stuff, right? But some of the stuff is really either really funny or it's interesting, or Carrie's page has different things that comes up. I have like a lot of like the resellers, like people go to the thrift stores and they resell online. I think that's fascinating, but that's how old I am. But then you see like
I'm all cats. Like my whole feed is all cats and dogs and
cats and dogs. You animal lover, you. But you see like the scroll, but then you get to some of them that are just like cringy when people are doing stuff, and you're like, oh God, no.
Or even the ones even like, oh, that's so fake. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. I don't know. I know what the TikTok's about, the TikTok, but it's like,
and you just aged 10 years right there.
I just aged 10 years. But I did see on TikTok what scared me. So I'm going to be 40 this year, December 11th. I'm turning 40. I'm hoping again things ease off, and I'm hoping. I'm like on the fence right now. Like, do we go as a family trip for 40, or are we able to leave Liam with grandma and grandpa? So anyways, I'm turning 40. I saw, the Golden Girls. I know we're fans of the Golden Girls, right? Right? Like Sophia, Blanche, that show in the late 80s, early 90s, right? Blanche in the show of the Golden Girls was 51.
What?
Yeah. It said on the TikTok.
No.
They said Blanche, people are saying, now I feel old because people are like, Blanche was 51. If Blanche is a 51-year-old in the Golden Girls, I'm 11 years away from being a golden guy.
That's no.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I said on the TikTok, right? And look, people are saying, Adam Castle joining the show. Start a thing now where people are going to be like, again, to pull the old man arms. Hey, kids on the... Adriano and that boomerang guy talking about the TikTok,
Sorry, I couldn't hear it louder, huh?
Hey, what you got there? At my age, we had MySpace, and we had the gentleman named Tom, and he was great. And
you're mentioning about Golden Girls, but it blew my mind as well that I was reading the other day, and I don't know why this. Stop saying the TikTok. That's the only way I'm going to be saying it now, just to back you up.
We're starting a trend here on the project. It's called the TikTok now.
I read the other day, and I don't know how I didn't know about this before, that in The Simpsons, Homer's 34.
What? No.
Yeah.
34, and he's like,
yeah.
Wow.
I was like, that can't be right.
Well, Maggie's been
go into that interwebs black hole where you start Googling things left and right.
Everything's connected, and Simpsons was a show, though, honestly, where it's like, I still love watching it, but I can't remember how I fell off The Simpsons. Like, I've always been a Simpsons fan, but I know in the 90s and late 80s, early 90s, I was a huge fan. Like, I think most people were. But then it's just like, it's like comfort food because it's like, it's on. So I'm going to watch it,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm that way with Seinfeld, oddly enough. Like for me, although I never fell off Seinfeld, like I pretty much quote it still like 2 or 3 times a day. Like I think it was the greatest show ever. But yeah, it's that comfort. I agree with you.
Favorite character on Seinfeld?
It's either George or his dad.
Frank Costanza.
I think it might be Frank Costanza, to tell you the truth.
Frank Costanza is so good. Stop short. Kramer, stop short. Like, so good.
You got the A cup, the B cup,
the C, and the D. And then, like, what is his wife too? Estelle. She was so good. George. Oh, such a good show too.
I don't know, for some reason it just reminded me of my own family, so that's probably why I like it so much.
Like, this is like looking in the mirror. Oh God.
How about yours?
Favorite show or favorite?
No, because I don't know if you were too much of a Seinfeld fan.
I was. I like Seinfeld. I wasn't like super. Like, I have it all on DVD. Make me sound old again, but I have them all on DVD somewhere. I don't know. For me, is Kramer. Michael Richards, I think, is just comedic brilliance. I mean, yeah. like, yeah, right.
Giddy up.
Giddy up. You said it, Jerry. Kramer and Newman were probably for me were the two the best.
Newman.
And
There
then
was
you got to
That was the greatest thing. I think that's what made the show that good, though. At least in my opinion, we're selling, bro.
Stellenbras. The man's ear,
by the way.
The man's ear.
Man's ears. Or the bro. Either one.
Bro.
I think that's what was so great about that show was that I don't think you can say any one character was the best on it, is that they all complemented each other so well. And I think there's a Seinfeld Instagram account that someone did where during March they did like a March Madness breakdown of the greatest scenes on Seinfeld. And I was so happy that I felt justified that the scene I always thought was the greatest was the one that came through. But it was amazing to see all the different characters kind of all had their moments in that March Madness bracket as they came, as it came to a head. But the one that won was the marine biologist. The sea was angry that day, my friend.
And then like everybody freaks out. We've got like a debate going in the thread here. My wife Carrie is like not a Seinfeld fan. She's like, unpopular opinion, Seinfeld is overrated. Adam Castlefire's one on here.
It's
super
okay,
unpopular.
Carrie. I told Arms I thought the same thing about you, so it's all good.
I Kenny Rogers chicken, man. Kenny. The light goes on. So good.
Mr. Marbles?
Mr. Marbles. Diane said, yeah, I could never get into it as well. I'm going to have to agree with my wife here and say The Office is so good.
See, I never really got into I watched it because what else was I going to do during the pandemic? I watched it from like beginning to end in what felt like just 3 days. But which I'm sure a lot of people did with shows during the pandemic. And Michael Scott or
Steve Carell.
Steve Carell, thank you.
Steve Carell. Yep.
I mean, he was brilliant in his character. Do not get me wrong. And I will give him that credit because he really agitated me in just how he would behave. And I don't know why, but it would just really irk me.
Are you talking about like the first season with Michael Scott, where they didn't give him the proper hair piece, like they actually gave him plugs, like the whole thing, and they made on the documentary they made Steve Carell wear clothes that were too big for him, so it was a very like off-putting look. And then they tested the show, and a lot of people didn't like it, like the first couple of episodes. So they kind of revamped it. They made him sort of that lovable kind of buffoon that people kind of grew to love. I mean, I love The Office. I like Steve. I'm a big Steve Carell fan. Rainn Wilson is Dwight Schrute, assistant to the regional manager. And I even liked it when Will Ferrell took over for a couple of episodes. I know Carrie Carrie's not a Will Ferrell fan, but I love Will Ferrell.
I'm a huge Will Ferrell fan. I was actually having this conversation the other day with someone that I absolutely love Will Ferrell, and I think it got me hooked on watching from his Saturday Night Live clip when he was one of the lovers in the hot tub.
It was him and Rachel Dratch used to do that skit, right? Like, come here and let me experience love, and then the guest stars will always be like, "Oh my god, such a good one." Such a good one. Adam Castle saying, "Hey, Schitt's Creek, one of the best."
That was a great show.
Good. I like it. I thought it was a great show. I think Carrie's rewatched Schitt's Creek probably 20 times. Yeah, there we go. 100% agree. 10 times, growing strong on there too. For me, it's like pandemic wise. Obviously, like I've been lucky as a nerd to have Marvel content come out every week, day in and day out. Like. We have Disney Plus. I love it. I've actually got into Disney has done a really cool job reinventing Mickey Mouse and Friends for it's kind of like a Ren and Stimpy style. If you remember that show, yeah. It's The Wonderful World of Mickey Mouse, and Liam loves it. And I laugh, like it's funny, like it's really funny stuff, and it's like Mickey, Donald, Daisy, Goofy, but it's like done in a very Ren and Stimpy, not like gross, but like the animation styles like that. And it's very tongue in cheek. Like there's little cameo appearances from other Disney characters in the background. Scrooge McDuck's in it too on a couple of episodes. It's amazing.
Well, Disney was always great at doing that. That it was content for kids, but there was still those like you mentioned, the tongue in cheek things that adults like would get and laugh about. Disney has always been brilliant like that. I mean, even back in the day, wasn't Animaniacs Disney? Were they Disney?
Warner Brothers.
Warner Brothers. Sorry,
Warner Brothers,
yes.
yeah. No, but that was another good show too that they brought back too. They've got a revamp of that now too. I actually watch it on Amazon Prime too. But yeah, no, I've been watching a lot of Disney stuff with Liam, which is great, and we're big Disney fans here at this house. And the Marvel stuff. I mean, okay, here's the thing. We got to talk about this. We're like going way into overtime. You're good to stick around for a couple more. Okay.
Well, you don't know. My plan is to go past midnight. You're missing Black Widow tonight. Sorry, Carrie.
Yeah, she's gonna be like, well, we'll just go see it in the theater. But that's no. I told her, I said I may go along with Adriano because I miss my buddy. We got to talk about this. Star Wars fan. Have you seen The Mandalorian? Please say yeah.
Oh yeah.
Such a good show, right?
Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Like,
I think a lot of people were a little too hard on the whole, and I'm going to be spoiler if you haven't watched it, for the whole Luke Skywalker thing. I think they were a little too hard on that. I thought it was very well done. I thought it fit in with the story as well.
Oh, at the end, right? Like the end of season 2. Oh yeah. I got goosebumps. I got goosebumps now talking about it. Like I thought that was and to see Mark Hamill go on Twitter and say like, finally, that's the Luke Skywalker I wanted originally for, past the Rian Johnson stuff in The Last Jedi, is so good. And then like they brought back Boba Fett, Tamir Morrison, and they made him in a total badass, which was like, as a fan of Star Wars since I was like a kid, like finally. But it's just even the characters in it. Like you have Grief Karga, it was a great character. You had Mayfeld, who was played by comedian Bill Burr, which I thought was just had more character development as a stormtrooper turned sharpshooter than like anybody in the Disney films. And I'm just so happy that they're going to continue. Rosario Dawson is Ahsoka Tano, which was amazing too.
Yeah. I'm really curious to see how it evolves now past that second season with now Grogu or Baby Yoda taken off, how it's going to evolve. Because in the end, it's not going to end well. So
yeah, they're going to have to try
to break that news to people. But
well, it's like all these characters don't. I mean, you don't really have to marry them into the Disney trilogy, but they're going to have to explain something, because if Luke took Grogu to train, spoiler alert, then what happened to him, right? I mean, that's the big question. Like, how does he fit in with Kylo Ren and all those different things, right? So I'm glad you like it. I mean, it's a good time to be a fan. They're going to be pumping out Star Wars content en masse now on Disney Plus, which I think, as an entertainment piece, I like when I know I have shows on my streaming service that are, I actually like the weekly drops of episodes. Yeah. Like, with I don't know if you're a Stranger Things fan on Netflix. I love Stranger Things, like huge. I love David Harbour. But when they drop like the whole series at once, it's like Carrie and I will blow through the whole series in one night.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then we're done. And it's like something to be about that. But then it's like, if you drop it week in and week out, like Marvel's doing now, it's like every Wednesday I'm trying to watch Loki. And
that's the thing. Like, I hate it and I love it all in one, right? Because like, I want to watch it again, like, or the next episode. But like, that's old school TV right there, right?
That's the way it used to go. So I wanted to ask you too, before we wrap it up here too, like, what else have you been doing during the pandemic? I mean, I know you've been pivoting and keeping things afloat and reinventing WindsorEats, and what else have you been doing? I know a lot of your Instagram stuff, you've been doing a lot of
staring at the ceiling, just looking out the window, wondering what the outside world has turned into.
Right, such a weird time, right?
No, it's been weird because Pina and I keep saying that we have never worked harder for less money. And I mean, it's great. We're doing things we love, but I mean, at the end of the day, we also have bills to pay and things along those lines. But it's been really interesting because it's really gotten us to, and I kind of hinted at this before, it really has gotten us to think so different in how we approach things. And I mean, developing the bevy box was one thing, and being able to still support local breweries and wineries and distilleries by offering a delivery service through them. The food hall was another big thing that we did, which maybe in the next week we might be able to. I think we're going to be launching it. We're hoping.
Come on.
This is actually, I just had the meeting today, so this is like breaking news, and I would
Breaking
do
news.
I would do this to you all the time on the radio. Where
And it would be so funny, like
studio.
you would too, like because we'd be talking about something, and then you'd be like, "Oh, and then we're also doing this." And then I remember, like, especially on AM 800, like the newsroom would call me, like, "What did he just say?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you can attribute my show."
Before I keep going
scoop.
about Food Hall, do you remember when we came into the studio, Pina and I, and we were doing, I forget what we were doing. We were doing an interview, a little bit of a longer one. And I opened the door to the studio, and then I turned to Pina, and I'm like, can we announce that we're doing a beer fest? And then Pina like paused, and she's like, all right. And like, we literally just announced, like, we decided at that moment as we were walking into your studio, no, we're going to do a beer festival, and then announced it on air. During that interview, my phone was lighting up from people from like city employees and whatnot saying, what's going on? You have to let us know about this.
Yeah, we're just going to go ahead and take over the whole riverfront.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing. Don't worry about it. We'll worry about the permits later. Everyone's just going to have a good time. That's it.
I'm always a big fan of, if I put it out there, that means so I don't disappoint people and disappoint myself, I have to follow through on it.
It's like burn the boats, right? Like you're on the island, burn the boats. You're going to make this happen or you're not, right?
Yeah.
But no, you were always good for that. And I remember, like I said, like from a radio standpoint, I know TV would always say, okay, when you'd come on the show at night, and I would say, okay, let's stick around because somebody's going to clip you for news, right? And they would essentially have a story gift wrapped and ready to
Pretty
go.
much.
Yeah.
So I had that meeting today with the health unit with the city of Windsor, where if we can get our chefs, because I mean, it's short notice, right? If we can get the chefs in the restaurants lined up, we're hoping that we'd be able to launch the food hall next Friday.
God.
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude.
We're keeping our fingers crossed. There's been a lot of conversations, a lot of frustration on our part of trying to get this going. But we've finally been given the thumbs up.
Next Friday, the 16th, you're thinking?
Yep.
Okay. And will you do it Saturday too, or just the Friday?
I think for that, I think we would do it for that full weekend.
Okay. Because
we're even looking at possibly doing it during the week as well. But we obviously, I mean, that's all based on demand. But I think for the first week, we would do the full weekend.
We've got another live show on Friday night. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag who's going to be on the air, but I got some really cool guests over the next couple of weeks that are going to be on. But I'd love to take Liam to an event like that. I think he'd just have a blast. And maybe if you guys are doing it on the Saturday, I'll text you and maybe I can take the boy out.
Absolutely. And the thing is, it's such a safe environment. Like when last year we went above and beyond and making sure like our tables were about 20 feet apart, how we brought everyone in, our cleaner cleaning everything at all times. Like we went above and beyond to make sure it was a space that people felt safe in so they could actually go out. We had so many people that approached us and said, I hadn't even left my house, and we started in September, and people were like, we hadn't even left our house to a restaurant or anything all year. And we saw the photos, we saw the videos, thought it looked so safe. And we've come here and we've been every week. So it's awesome. Which to me, that makes me happy because it at least provided people, that still had some anxiety about going out, provided them that safe space where they can still at least pretend things are normal for a little bit.
Okay. So hopefully, once all the T's get crossed and the I's get dotted, you'll be able to WindsorEats.com, right? Follow you guys on Facebook. That'll be on there for all that information too. So people can check it out as well. What's interesting, Debbie says, hey, looking forward to this. More info, please. Debbie, you got to like Adriano on Facebook. Go to his the Facebook page, WindsorEats. And if it's a go, which it sounds like it's a go too, we'll post some stuff next week on my page for it too. So you'll be able to get some. It'll be fun. Awesome. It's going to be good. But then
we'll get you to do a show there where it's an old ArmsEats and we're cooking and eating.
Dude, here's the thing: was what we do. We do one, and then let's never mind me taste it. Like get the boy to taste it, right? Get awesome. Liam. Liam can meet Uncle Adriano, and away you go. And that would be good. We could even do one of these live there. That's fine. Pre-record it next time. Because now that you're
just like, what's the menu going to be? Is there?
I just want to get out of the house, man. Whatever. I'm like, you could be like, oh, well, we're just gonna make it up as we go. Well, that's fine. I'm happy to be here. Feed me.
Which
Feed me.
can we talk about making it up as we go and back to ArmsEats? Do you
Yes.
remember? And we talked about this briefly before this segment or the show segment. I'm talking about but before the show began about the one April Fool's ArmsEats segment that we did.
Oh, man, people were upset. They were upset, but then some people. I remember getting a message on.
It was a mix of two. I think
it was a mix of two. Somebody was like, "Really? Like you're advocating alcoholic breakfast cereal?" And I'm like, "It's April 1st."
So I think so. To explain it to people that are wondering, like, what alcoholic breakfast cereal?
First, you guys are talking about pot, then men's bras. What kind of show is this? And the TikTok. What kind of show is this project? It's rubbish.
So it was April Fool's, and we were originally going to be doing a normal cooking segment, but it was one of those times where a chef backed out very last minute. And so I think I reached out to you and was like, what do you think? We take the April Fool's approach and we do Cocoa Puffs, but instead of milk, we make it a White Russian that we're putting the Cocoa Puffs in.
I'm like, and I at that point I'm like, hey man, I've never been one, honestly, for like April Fool's gags. I know we used to do them all the time on the radio, and it was like, okay, but like I was like, okay, we'll try it. We'll try it. It was good because I remember Jim going like, really?
But really? I do have to say, kind of yummy though. Kind of yummy. Like I do.
It's like I remember we tried it. I'm like, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. This could be a thing.
It's because
it's like, close.
Yes, okay, there's vodka in there, but you got milk in there, but the Cocoa Puff then turned it chocolatey as well. So, I mean, it was nice. I liked it.
It was a nice texture between everything that was going on. Oh, buddy. I miss you. I some of my best days in my broadcasting career were, again, working with you. So, now that I exposed you to the realm of live streaming, I'm going to probably check on with you and Pina en masse now. What's great about this is you just got to be in a connection. Maybe we go live to you a couple of times when you guys have got stuff on the go, and just even for a quick hit, just to say what's going on.
Anytime you have a guest that pulls out last minute, call me and I'll put on a disguise. I'll hold up a little cardboard cutout of their face in front of me and just go. We'll go.
I'm not Adriano. My name is Ed Ciotoli. I'm his other guy. Okay, it's me. No, I'm not. I'm not going to relegate you to a fill-in anymore. I mean, that's the beauty of the live stream, right? So I will check in with you as we go. I just want to tell you and Pina to keep doing what you guys are doing. I think you guys are phenomenal folks, and it's just been a real blessing to have you on the show. So thank you, sir.
Honestly, the pleasure was all mine. And when you reached out, there was no hesitation whatsoever. As I mentioned, always willing to jump in. Always willing. I've always got your back. You never have to worry about that.
I think the comments here. I mean, Deborah puts it on the screen. I mean, great show tonight. And that's what it is. Like it's what I love about the show. It's like when I was saying to my wife Carrie, like I want to start doing a show again. And she goes, good, I think you should. But like, what is it going to be about? And I'm like, it's a show about nothing. No. Seinfeld reference. I just said it's just going to be a conversations if we can take people from behind the scenes on things they may have caught us doing through the years, me and my guests. And, people say like, you must have met a lot of crazy characters and good people. I said, no, I met a lot of great people and good people who've become great friends. And if I can bring them in a very no holds bar where we can talk about some of the heavier issues, we can talk about different things, and then we can put a personal spin on it, right? I had Morgan Ryan on from Country 95.9 a few weeks ago, and I had her sister who used to be on Mix 96.7, Kendall, and I was asking Kendall about some of her issues in terms of the pandemic because she had left her broadcast job to go into the food service industry again, and pandemic hit, and it was a fair question to ask, and she was taken aback, right? And Morgan says to me, "Arms, don't Oprah her. You Oprah her." And I loved it because it's like,
the sister coming in to protect.
yeah, yeah, like don't Oprah her. And I'm like, I like that. Like, I like when people can kind of get past the 30-second news clip and really get to know these people, because, like, you know, you may not always get everything right, but you're still a human and we're all in this together. Right. So I think it's crucial, but I will let the cat out of the bag a bit. We do have over the next couple of weeks, and I'm hoping maybe you can catch at least the rebroadcast. We've got, again, Mark Lander from 93.9 The River on Monday's show. And then
Which
we've got
won't be me with a Mark Lander face mask talking behind it.
Yeah, it won't be Adriano going, surprise, I'm back.
I never really left. I never left. I just kept the camera going.
We're setting the world record for streaming. Just you with different masks, right?
Yeah, I hope he's still watching, because my goal tonight was just to make sure I got more views on this video than Adam Castle. That's what I'm trying to achieve tonight.
He was so. I talked to Adam today too, and he's like, "Man, I can't wait for your Adriano to come on. It's going to be good." And I said, "Well, then that's the other thing I was going to say too is, you know, as things go, I'm totally open to having like you and Adam on as a tag team, and you know, you go back and forth on a few things.
Or we can just stream video games, playing video games and talking.
Well, that's something else. That
think about it.
It may be coming down the pipe. You don't know yet, but there's somebody who's going to be coming on the show on the 19th, which is 2 Mondays from now, that you will be like, oh my God, I miss her. It's so nice to see her. And what have you been doing? And I'll just leave it at that. It's somebody that you worked with very closely with me through the years. And she's no longer in Windsor.
I think
she's going to be joining us.
Talking about,
yeah, she's going to be joining us up the 401, as they say. So
at first, I was going to be like, "Is it Hillary Clinton?"
Can you imagine? Oh my God! I'd be like, "Oh my God, Hillary, let's talk." But no, it's going to be good, and I was really happy to connect with her because she's been somebody who's been very kind, and we've got some really cool stories about, you know, what she's been up to. So it's going to be fun. It's what the show's about. But
awesome.
So we'll circle back, man, and we'll have you back on, and we'll rock and roll, because I love you, man.
I'm always willing to come in. I've missed you, and I've loved this conversation.
You're a good man. You're a good man.
You too,
all the info on Adriano's upcoming events, you heard it here first on the project. The food hall, outdoor dining hall, is going to be coming back on the 16th, tentatively. Hopefully. So it's like, we want it to come back, but if it doesn't,
we're allowed to. If we can get restaurants and chefs and tables and chairs, we're going to be able to open up. So, yeah. And staff. If we can get staff, we're going to be able to open up on the 16th.
We'll, again, WindsorEats.com. For all the folks in the comments, there's tons of people saying, where do I get info? WindsorEats.com. And make sure to follow Pina and Adriano on Facebook too, because it's going to be a lot of fun. Hey, and a big plug here.
Hey,
Bill Mara joining the show. Good to see you both. Bill, you're next on the Arms Bumanlag project. I got to bring my buddy Bill on. Bill, I have a new appreciation for, because we're just going to keep going. This is what's going to we're going to hit the 2-hour mark. We're going to end up wrapping it up. Bill is just such a kind gentleman, and really somebody I looked up to. He was working alongside Jan Kaffer at Hotel Dieu Grace Healthcare during the pandemic, and he's just a solid individual, and hopefully I can secure Mr. Mara to come on the show for a nice little chat with me on the program. He's just a wealth of information. I joked around with Bill. I said, Bill, when back in 2003, my parents voted for you. So, I mean, it is what it is, right? So, but good guy.
You really put salt in the wounds there, eh? Just bring that up.
Also, Adriano ran. Do you remember? Okay, hang on. Before we wrap up the show, you know how upset I was? Adriano ran for city council. What was it, 2014?
I think so.
15.
I think it was 2010 and 2014.
But you were doing the food segment with me on a regular basis on CTV.
That might have been 2014.
And yeah. I love your sister. I love Pina. I love her to death. She's a great woman. But when you and I get together, you can't shut us up, right? And you make it happen, Cap. Make it happen, Captain. But you said to me, because you were running for office, actually, Dan Appleby, our news director at the time at CTV, he pulled us aside. Remember, we got brought into the principal's office, And he said, guys, if Adriano's going to run for city council, we can't give him, as much as we know it's food and it's not the political platform, you can't do the food segment. And we were just like, oh, right.
No.
And then we're like, Pina, right? And then Pina's like, you guys are you idiots are roping me into this every week now. But that was good. I remember it, and it was good. It was good. It was good.
It was nice when the campaign was done and I was able to come back and do the segment. It was nice. It was nice to come back.
Hey, volunteer servers for Friday?
We're actually working on something about that, because we're working with possibly some organizations that needed or have really been missing a lot of donations from fundraising, and we're working with a few to hopefully be able to provide servers. So yes, there's a possibility of volunteer servers, but they may be directly with organizations. But reach out to us. Absolutely, email me, reach out to me. We can provide you more info.
Adriano, I should say, Jim McDowell. I know him as, and you know him as Padre. He was the guy who was the minister at my wedding.
Oh shit! Sorry. Sorry, my bad.
We need a swear jar here. We got to find
it, and I think that's what
tuning for every.
People realize is anytime that I'm doing a segment on TV or radio or anything like that, like, it is so hard for me to keep F-bombs and S-bombs and whatever from coming out of my mouth. Because, like, I let it all out, right? And it was always a struggle. Always a struggle. Rich
just put $1 in the swear jar for you there.
Thank you, Rich. Appreciate it.
And there we go. Jim, there we go. All right. So, anyways, I don't even know how we got on this train.
I've let go, like, F-bombs at conferences up on stage speaking and giving presentations, and I'm like, what am I doing? What?
You're like the Howard Dean of tourism. Remember that guy?
No.
Remember he like won the? You don't remember Howard Dean?
No.
I'm going to send you the YouTube.
How are you?
This is one more. Hey, on the TikTok. On the TikTok, do you remember the Howard Dean? He ran for president of the United States of America. He went up on the stage and he got very excited. No, I gotta send you it was a guy running for president, and they were thinking he was going to be a shoo-in. This was like early 2000s, and he won the primaries in Ohio, and he was like fist pumping and dropping, like, I don't know if it was F-bombs. See, Bill says he was a presidential candidate. Bill knows what I'm talking about. And everybody thought he was a shoo-in to win the Democratic nomination, but it was just, and now if he did it now, people would be like, oh, I'm voting for him because he's real. He's a real, genuine person. I'm going to vote for him. He was fist pumping. I fist pumped too. But they just lambasted him. They said he's unfit to be president and yada, yada, yada.
Oh, man.
Anyways, Richard, hey, thanks.
Everyone complains. They hold people accountable to that, and then they complain that our politicians they're so not like us. Well, you force them not to be. That's my political rant for the day.
It's up on the wall, right? We rise by lifting everyone up, right? So, anyways,
so this is going to be the first intermission. And then we'll
be back right after this. Just like Kramer,
come back.
It's like when Kramer Newman had their show. Hey, like, Jerry, that's great. Jerry, that's great. We'll be back right after this.
Don't forget the chips.
You got some chips. And we're back. Hi, everybody. Oh man. Anyways, best of luck this upcoming weekend. We're live next Friday night too, with another fantastic guest. So maybe if you're not running around with the chicken with your head cut off, I will see if we can even
broadcast it on the screen.
You know what's great about this program, though, Adriano, was like, all my guests are like, we do this. Actually, fun fact: you speak about non-charitable organizations. I'm very, very blessed to be at the Windsor-Essex County Humane Society as the director of development. Melanie Coulter, who I know you know very well, is a good friend of mine, and was able to land there. And we do a weekly show like Pet Picks, like we used to do on CTV, but we do the live stream like this too. But we actually have our events coordinator take a cell phone, and she's our adoption cam. and she goes into whatever pet we're featuring that week to get adopted. So it's like, and let's go live to the pet cam, and I bring up on the screen, right? And it's for me as an old TV nerd, it's kind of neat because I can control all this from my end. But for your event next week, if you want, we can always check in with you quickly. I can send you the link if you have 5 minutes.
Absolutely. There may be flames rising up in the back.
You're like putting somebody out on fire. Like, it's all fine.
It's okay. Happens all the time. Don't worry.
We're good. Don't worry. He's actually on fire. It's going to taste better. It's going to taste a lot better.
He really gets into his food.
Hey, okay. Here's my thing. I know you haven't secured tentatively food trucks and chefs and all that. But do you have an idea what kind of food do you want for next weekend at the outdoor food hall?
I absolutely do. I mean, we are open to anyone and everyone, but obviously for the first weekend, we had to reach out to a few in advance just to be like, we were going to give you short notice. Are you able to do it? And ones that were there last year. So one that we're really excited about that no one really knew about in the city of Windsor until the food hall came about. And then their food was phenomenal. It was Rico Taco, Mexican street eats. Phenomenal. Really introduced birria tacos to the city of Windsor, and their food is phenomenal. And they actually, once food hall ended, they were so successful at food hall that they opened up a brick and mortar. And so they've been doing,
really?
Yeah, because they only used to do festivals and events. So likely they will be there. We're working on, I'm just waiting to hear back on Chef Anthony Dalupan. Again, he was really, yeah. And he's doing, so I'm going to let the cat out of the bag. And I'm going to put it publicly. So then Anthony feels the pressure that he now has to make this food. So that's how I roll.
That's how I got you on the show. When Adam Castle was on the show and you were commenting in the stream, and that's how we're going to get Bill on the show because Bill was commenting on the stream. You're roping everybody on. Don't watch the show. He's going to ask you to be on. Don't watch it.
Don't comment if you don't want to be on the show.
Don't even watch it.
But with Chef Anthony Dalupan, I'm clearly huge food nerd, and I'm always looking for things. We want to be able to showcase food that isn't in Windsor or hasn't been in Windsor, and something that's totally unique and different. And so I'm always scouring the internet for like just insane stuff. And I found this sandwich, and it sounds ridiculous that it's just a sandwich, the new overtime.
What it is. It's good though.
It's a whole bone-in rib that is put on a bun with the bone in, like the sauce is put on it, and it's massive. Like, it's absolutely massive. And you hand it to the individual with the bone in, and then when they get it, they essentially slide it out and have their sandwich right there. So it literally, the meat just slides right off the bone. But I'm not doing it justice explaining it. Like, seeing it is unreal, absolutely unreal. That's what I've pushed Anthony to serve, and he got excited when I showed him the video and the photos of it, and he said absolutely he's doing it. So now the pressure is on that he has to follow through.
Oh my gosh, yeah, you've roped in the Bumanlag family for next weekend. So looks like we're doing that for dinner.
Yep,
we're coming out. A couple of comments here. Richard
I'll send it to you privately. The video. You're gonna die. You're absolutely gonna die.
Oh man, I would love to just, we've got a lot of people saying,
I can't let the cat out of the bag by showing people this video beforehand. So when we start testing it out for Anthony to serve it, you'll get the view of it, and it'll make you want to go to the food hall. I promise you that.
So good. It's like 9:37 on a Friday night.
I haven't even eaten dinner yet.
Oh my God. Okay. Well,
no. It was just because I was running around because I procrastinated doing things. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to make dinner when I get home. I'm going to eat. And then I looked at the time and I'm going to be like, nah, I'm never going to decide what to eat and make it. And then, have like tomato sauce all over my face as I go live on air with Arms or something in my teeth. So I was like, I'll wait till we're done.
I just pictured like doing the show, doing the open, and like setting up, and then it's like nobody, and then you just pop up with your face, and you got like
you're only seeing me from the neck up because I have like a napkin tucked in.
Oh, the possibilities. Oh, you've got a couple of
What you
shout outs
mean
here.
the pasta abilities with your dad puns?
My
Can't
friend,
believe you missed that. Come on.
that was saucy.
Oh.
The dad puns are coming out in full force. Nice. So just to recap, we are. Oh, come on, Richard. Richard says boo.
Boo. There's nothing wrong with being fusilli. Okay, that one deserves a boo. That one was really bad.
Got a boo too here in the comments from Richard. It's not a fan of the dad puns.
And I just killed any other episode that you're ever gonna host now. No one's gonna tune in.
We're gonna do a whole dad joke episode. Like Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg. They do the
battle. Absolutely.
That's it.
I'd so be in on that.
Oh, I would be in. People are so. Carrie goes to me before we start the show. She goes, how long are you going to go with Adriano tonight? And I said, generally, the Arms Bumanlag project is about an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, depending on the show, depending on the content. And then in the back of my mind, there's like the little arms going, no, you're going to go about at least 2 hours with him.
We're going to Tuesday.
Arms Bumanlag project into overtime. We're in day 7 of the broadcast. Today we're talking about who would win in a fight, a Tyrannosaur or King Kong. Go.
Tyrannosaur has small arms.
But it is just the amazing. Debbie's saying, in terms of ethnic food, I think Carousel had I don't say we didn't have an issue, but like, because it is takeout, I think it's a little harder. And that's our crux too. And I want to say this, I know the folks at Carousel do a great job. And we, like Carrie and I, love going to the Greek Carousel. When we lived in South Walkerville, we used to go to the new, the one beside the Easy Road Expressway. You know what I'm talking about, where they would have the Greek Carousel now.
Yeah.
We would go get we get the honey balls, but it's harder when you get takeout. And maybe that's something else we can talk about real quickly here, is when you get takeout, it's almost like you have to prepare yourself, not to say that takeout's not going to be good. It's just not going to be.
It's not the same. I'll even agree to that. It's not the same.
It's not the same, right? It's not the same.
Well, and I know a lot of restaurants hate having their food for takeout, and I probably shouldn't be saying that, but they do, because it's not how they meant for it to be enjoyed, right? Especially, food will never taste the same if you're not able to go there and experience everything around it. A lot of times people enjoy restaurants, not just because of the food, but because of the servers, the ambiance that's in there, everything that surrounds it makes that whole experience amazing, which elevates the food as well. Mm-hmm. But also when you're cooking for takeout, you're putting them in the containers. By the time you get home, the heat that's still trapped in there, it's still cooking it a little more, like depending on the food that you have. So it's not going to be really the same, or it gets soggy and because of the condensation or things. So it's never going to be the same. And I know a lot of restaurants dread takeout as a result of that, especially the ones that are really picky, chefs that are really picky about their food, which is unfortunate. But I mean, it's unfortunate. But I think with Carousel, a lot of it really had to do with the whole experience that's around Carousel and how you enjoy the food when you're there as well. Just makes it.
You get the music, you get to learn about the culture, and
Absolutely.
There's that vibe, right?
Yeah. Just like when people say, "Oh, Guinness isn't the same here as it is when I went to Ireland and had." Well, no, you're in freaking Ireland, and like your whole brain is looking at it. You know what I mean? You're looking at it completely different. You're someplace special that you've never been or aren't there often. So you're tasting it and experiencing it in a totally different way than when you're sitting on your couch watching TV, swigging a Guinness. Of course, it's going to be different.
Yeah. This is we're like in this double overtime, which is fine. We were going to say goodbye to Adriano about a half hour ago, but we're still going strong. There's still quite a few people watching the show, so that's good. The other thing I wanted to ask you too, for me, I was thinking about this the other day about how spoiled we are locally to have so many great venues and restaurants and different areas. You get Via Italia, and you've got Walkerville, and the Riverside area's got some really good eats too. And I'm excited to visit all of them. We open up technically, what did they say, next week, right?
Friday.
Friday. I very much, and I'm going to give a shout out to these folks because I've been talking to the folks over at Caesars Windsor, and I know what challenges they're up against going forward. I know that they're very anxious to come back on board. I was talking to them about partnering up with us at the Humane Society and a couple of cool things on the horizon too. So I'm hoping that materializes. But I said to Carrie the other day, I miss going to see a show at the Coliseum, and I miss going to grab some grub at one of the different food places at Caesars. I miss going for a drink. I miss all of that.
Yep.
And I just remember for us very much that was a date night for us, right? We would go and we would watch. I mean, at the Coliseum I saw over the years like Guy Fieri. When he was in, they did a special thing with Guy Fieri over the years. John Cicada was like amazing. Just another day.
You really are dating yourself. Jeez.
You know who I saw at that Caesars Windsor, the Casino Windsor there, is you ever see on the TikTok, they got that guy there, John Cicada? You saw him on the stage, and I thought,
I saw that new singer, Celine Dion.
Celine Dion. Oh, boy. My heart will go on. My God. Just a voice of an angel. No, I turned into a new character here. Old Man Arms. But yeah, I really miss the whole Caesars experience. And I know Suzanne and the team there, they're working on getting everything's all good. Oh, Tears for Fears.
Tears for Fears.
Oh my God. I saw Tears for Fears at Caesars with Bob Bellachico. Bobby was there too, and we went, and he went with his lovely, and Carrie and I went, and Carrie's like, really, we're going to go see Tears for Fears? And I'm like, everybody wants to, and I'm like, I love 80s music. I'm an 80s music guy, right?
Can I chime in for a second though?
Yeah.
Did people's heads explode when they saw you together, not knowing? Because I know you always had the issue that that for some reason, just because you're both Filipino, everyone thought you were both the same person.
Oh, okay. Oh my God. All right. I got to get Bob on the show because I do love Bob. I think Bob Bellachico is one of the nicest, kindest, most dedicated sports reporters the city has ever known and will ever know. Nobody cares about the city and community.
Just other people. Like he's
just a solid. I want to be perfectly clear on that. Okay, he's somebody that I personally love. I love him. Bobby is a good guy. People would sometimes get us confused, right? And there was a moment. Listen, if we're talking about CTV here again, and as much utmost respect and awe I have for Mr. Jim Crichton, love the man. The man is just class act all the way around. There was a moment in 2016. For about 5 months, where finally, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to say this here. Finally, they let Bob do sport, like anchor the sports. It wasn't piped out of London. It was. They said, Bob, you're doing sports, okay? And we had something Jim and I used to call the Detroit close at the end of the show. So Jim would be the anchor, and Bob would do his sports cast and sit beside Jim usually on the right, and then I would do the green screen thing, and I would come up and sit on Jim on the left. And we would always there would always be a kicker story at the end of a newscast, right? So it'd be like, and in LaSalle today, take a look at this. This is Nutty the squirrel. Nutty is a squirrel that can water ski. How about that, right? And then we would say something, right? Like we would do, oh yeah, well, I'd say, Jim, that's nuts, right? What a tall tale. That's nuts, right? And then we'd do something. We'd have a laugh or whatever, right? But there was there was 5 months where honestly, like I felt like for me, it was like that's like how we used to watch Detroit news. Like that's how you watch Detroit news. Like you would always have like Carmen Harlan close out the newscast with Devin Skillian, and then they would have Bernie
do
Smiler.
their little chit chat.
Yeah, they do the chit chat, and then they would have Gatica do something, and I was like, I just remember, like, you take those moments in your mind and you say to yourself, this is something I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. And anyways, going back to Bob, I remember how happy he was doing the sports, and I just thought, like, man, about freaking time to have somebody of that talent and that commitment in that position. But to go back to Bob, I mean, we would get these comments: Bob is a different guy. Right? You know, Carrie used to joke around. Have you ever seen Bob's and Arms in the same room though? Because Bob is Filipino Italian and I am French Filipino, right? So it was just funny, and the people would. I remember one time when I left CTV and I went over to the CBC, I got a message from somebody saying, "Hey, it was great to see you today. It's great to see you on the." This when the tall ships were docking in Kingsville, and this lady was a very nice lady. She goes, "Oh, it's really great. Thanks for doing that story on the tall ships in Kingsville. It was great to see you on the deck of the ship." And I'm like, "I wasn't in Kingsville." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, right?" And she sent me a picture. She goes, "Well, I love this photo we took," and it was a picture of her and Bob. So I had to say, that's not me. That's Bob. You're in great hands. He's an awesome dude. Um, yeah, but I mean, everyone's commenting on the Caesar stuff here. Bill
Ooh,
Mara
Hall and
back with
Oates.
us. Hall and Oates, Man Eater, Burton Cummings. Hey, I know the girls went to go see Pitbull a couple of times. We got a
Wait,
plug here.
was Carrie on stage? She
Listen,
went to go see Carrie at Caesars.
listen. If it's Pitbull, I don't question what my wife does when it's girls' night. I just ask if she comes home in one piece. If she goes up on the stage, here's another one. Apparently, Jason
Derulo was a good
Derulo.
one. Yeah, I remember they did a whole hyping up and reveal because they brought Jason Derulo in at like his peak. I remember that. And can I tell you, because you brought up Jim and his moments when he does his little sayings.
And he's so good. He's so good at it though. Like, and that's what people like, and we've talked about this before. Like, people say like Jim, and I really mean this, and I hope people get this from the show, right? Like, I have nothing but utmost admiration and respect for Jim Crichton. That guy loves the city. He loves he's the quintessential news guy. And if there's anybody who gives his time freely to events, it's Jim, man. Like, he's the guy. But he would always have his quips, and we'd never try to rehearse anything. Remember, we never would rehearse anything. I would always like swing. And I always say to Jim, I'd much rather fall flat on my face live and you think it's stupid or dumb, or catch you and get a laugh out of you. And if I could get a laugh out of Jim, I went home a happy man that night.
Can I tell you my all-time favorite Jim Crichton moment was, there was a story, I can't remember how many years ago this was, but there was a story that all these pigeons got poisoned at Walmart or something like that, and they were falling from the sky. And it was horrible story about all these birds essentially falling onto cars and in the parking lot and in the street. And that story ends, and Jim's like, basically like, that's unfortunate. Or sorry, in an unfortunate segue, it's barbecue season. So it segues from this horrible story. I mean, not his fault.
It's a hard turn.
Somehow.
No,
absolutely.
You've got probably not the best story choice, but God bless them. Because if you're watching at home, though, you're probably like, yeah, you know what? You're going from dead pigeons to barbecue. But he's so good at that. Like,
and he pulled it off. It was brilliant. Yeah. But that is the one moment that will always be in my head about Jim.
But you never see that anymore. Like, you very rarely see that anymore. And that's just my opinion, right? It's like, that's a skill, right? And you have to know it, to how to do it and when it's appropriate. And he was just he's so good at doing that. And God bless him.
I love the fact that he flat out just stated, in an unfortunate segue.
Wasn't happy with that. Wasn't happy with that story choice. That's it.
No.
Oh God. But they,
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, you're like, we're going into the second hour now. It's good. We were talking about shows we watched during the pandemic, and you were saying The Office, and towards the end of the show, I think one of the good quotes from The Office that Ed Helms, who plays the off-putting Andy Bernard, said, "You'd never know. I wish you knew you were in the good old days when you were in the good old days." And I look back at that time again with those folks, and I think to myself, my God, like, It was good. At its core, it was good.
There were so many stupid, silly little things that like only we would know about that would be happening behind the scenes.
And you would never know at home. And you would
like
never know.
Me hiding in minus 40 degree weather, holding the board up because the blizzard wind is blowing it off.
Dude, that's a whole nother episode. For the amount of times I was up on that damn roof, like I was happy to do it, but like people don't realize how freaking windy it was up there, and we would have to. It's not just like, okay, I can go up there. Like I'd be out there
in like lightning storms.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, it's fine. Just put on a harness. You're fine. Pardon?
Just wear this steel colander on your head. You'll be perfectly fine.
Hold this metal rod and just see what happens. The polar vortex. Yeah, that was a whole thing too. I remember that when we moved over from A Channel and we got to the Bell Building and we were running tests on everything. Our general manager at the time, who I know you know, Don Mumford, great guy. Don was there and he came down from London, and Dan, our news director at the time, he said, Arms, I'm sorry, I need you to be in place up on the roof. And I'm like, okay, like I'll do it. And I'm thinking, we need to figure out how to do this, and we need to make sure that you're good. And I get that's cool, Dan. And I'm thinking it's going to be for 40. I need you out there for about 4 hours. Ooh. And I'm like, so hey, shout out to Windsor Fire. Okay. Windsor Fire, because we used to do Sparky's Toy Drive. I know that you helped us out with that a couple of years, you and Pina too. When we did Sparky's Toy Drive I think I was doing it with them for about 6-7 years. Kind of took it on as a charity to help. Johnny McRae at Windsor Fire and the boys like Sean Costello, they actually made me an honorary Windsor firefighter, and I still have the jacket in the garage, but they gave me one of those thermal coats. And I remember going up on the roof and I had my parka on and then I had my thermal coat on, and I was like, I could still feel the cold because it was like minus 57 on the roof in the wind. And I was just like, right. And then like, we'd have to run through a show. And Jim like, let's go to Arms live on the rooftop. Arms, I'd be like, whoa. And I'd remember one time I took an icicle and I pretended to break it off from my nose, and Jim would like, crack up. But I just remember being up there and it's like, oh my God, like it's cold, but it's like brutally cold
and windy windy. Yeah.
And it was just like, and then Carrie always used to make fun of my inside out umbrellas, right? He would be up there in the rainstorm and then it'd pull like a Filipino Mary Poppins off the roof. And you're gone.
It was Bob.
Was it Arms or was it Bob?
That was Bob.
I can't tell. Which one is it? Oh my God. Good times.
I'm going to let you get to bed. You've been talking to me long enough.
What is it? This is the longest project. We still have people hanging on. If you want to find out more information about everything that's going on at WindsorEats, the show is just like, I love it. Go to the website, WindsorEats.com. You can get all the information there. He's got the outdoor dining hall experience tentatively booked for next Friday as things get reopened and slowly back to normal here in Windsor, Essex. If you are going to, hey, Bill, you better believe Forza Azzurri. Sunday, they're going to win. Touchdown. They're going to win. Touchdown. Hole in one. Hole in one. The bases are loaded. No, I do know. All kidding. I do know. I know. I just kidding. I'm just, me, I've never been the sports guy. But you got to be excited about that. I know Bill's a huge fan. It's going to be, what are your plans for this on Sunday? I really still haven't been comfortable going out in groups of people, which almost guarantees that Italy's going to win then, because I won't really be able to join in on celebrations. So I that almost guarantees an Italy win on Sunday. So I'm going to watch it from my home and hopefully be happy here. Yeah, and Bill says, hey, it's coming home, baby. It's coming to Rome. It's coming to Rome. I think I should probably watch it. These clips of it. Carrie sums it up right. We're not a sports. We don't. It's actually like like Carrie says to me, she's like, it's embarrassing how little you know about sports. And it's like, and I think that was another reason why like Jim and I was going to make another Bob Belichico comment. It was like, I thought you did sports broadcasting. Yeah, Yes, I got that guy there, the Arms Chico. He does the weather sports on television there, and he says he doesn't do sports. I don't understand. He's got a TikTok. Um, yeah, we don't do sports. Also, Gary here. Can't get that rib sandwich off my mind.
Oh, trust me, when you see it, you're gonna want to live at the food hall. I promise you.
So here's my question, real quick, again, before you go.
So let's start from the beginning. Let's go.
Welcome to hour 3 of Overtime with Arms and Adriano. My son Liam, he, as you know, he's a very finicky eater. He's had a lot of feeding challenges because he had the NG tube after his open heart surgery. So we're happy to say he eats, and he does like to eat, but he's extremely picky. I'm talking chicken nuggets, stuff like that. Would there be something along the lines there for kids, you think, that you can kind of finagle? I mean, he does like ribs. I will say this. He does like ribs. Yeah.
Well, is there anything else that he kind of does like? So we're gonna have 3 vendors, and we usually try to switch it up. I know, like last year, we had vendors that were doing like gourmet fries, which means we could do regular fries as well, or poutine or things like that. So if he likes, and we did have a vendor that was doing gourmet hot dogs as well, so that would mean we'd easily be able to do regular hot dogs too. So we'd be able to. The restaurants that participated were so willing to accommodate for kids that were picky eaters. It was nice. It was actually really nice to see that they were willing to do that.
Well, like Carrie says, Liam does love his fries, right? So, but the only problem is like I don't want him just to eat for like I got him doing the ribs. Like I get the ribs from Sobeys here in Amherstburg that are the the Swiss Chalet ones you can buy. Yep, and they're pretty good, right? It's like $11. And to me, I'm like ribs for me, I have to go with something like I do like chicken or ribs or something. But like the boy, like I just made it for him one day because I'm like, you gotta try something, and he was like, and I'm like,
nice.
Have more ribs, son. Have all the ribs you want.
He was like throwing the bones at you.
Oh yeah. Say, Dad, hey, like that. And I'm like, okay, thanks, appreciate it.
With some sass.
Yeah. Oh, he's sassy. As Carrie will attest, he's my son, so he's got some sass.
Nice.
He's a little sassy kid, but God bless him. Okay. Jim McDowell says poutine. Would that be an option? Possibly, maybe. We'll see.
We'll see. As we start confirming the restaurants or getting them on board, we'll have a much easier. We usually try to tell them we want something that is so over the top, but then we also want some more common food, I guess you could say, for people that are more familiar with as well, so that it's just not all craziness.
Okay, good. Okay, I will let you go because I know you gotta get something in your belly there, so to speak. You haven't had dinner yet. I'm going to see if my wife is doing.
I could lose the weight. I've been seeing like pictures and people posting. I'm like, wow, they really did good over the pandemic during this year and a half. And I'm like, I went in the complete opposite direction.
Yeah, I'm at the heaviest I've been since 2013. Like I've got spare tire on a spare tire.
And where the man's ear comes in handy now.
That's what I said. It's a fuel tank for the dad machine, right?
I call it a keg. People say they have 6-packs. I'm like, I got a keg. Come on,
keg and a half. But I'm gonna make sure that Carrie's good to go here, and she's. I know she's. Hopefully, we can still watch Black Widow here, but we'll see.
I just totally ruined movie night. You guys, you're falling asleep 5 minutes in. I guarantee the opening credits aren't even going to be done.
I'll still watch it when she goes to bed. And then we'll watch it again. I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. I didn't know this was happening. Amazing. God bless you, man. This was long overdue. Again, thank you for everything you do. And I will check in with you as we go on. And then hopefully we can continue to pop on the show and do this going. And then
awesome. I love this.
Bring on Pina one time so she can be the voice of reason. You know?
Voice of reason. Who wants a voice of reason?
You don't need that. Got a bunch of those guys there on the internet talking about their Blanche from Golden Girls. That's it.
I want voice of reason. I'll read your signs in the back. That'll bring me back.
Yes, this is all inspiration. That's it. All inspiration. Yeah, happy birthday to Jen, who's watching the live stream too. We appreciate you tuning in. And
Jen.
We love you, Jen. Thank you for watching and spending some time with us. So pretty good audience tonight. Again, WindsorEats.com. I promise this is it. I'm signing off. Okay.
Awesome.
God bless you, man. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
You too, bud. I love this, so thank you very much.
My
Much
absolute
needed.
pleasure.
It was much
You are
needed.
you are a good friend and even a better person. So thank you for everything as always. Adriano Ciotoli, what a great guy. Folks, the show's supposed to be an hour. We're at 2 hours and 9 minutes. So there's that, which is good, honest to God. As you can tell, I take a lot of fantastic synergies and different people on the show, and we just have fun with them. But when you can actually have that connection with somebody, and I really mean it, he's just a great guy from start to finish, Mr. Adriano Ciotoli. So hopefully you enjoyed the program. Don't forget, we're back again Monday. Mark Lander from 93.9 The River, former morning show host, the guy just all over North America. He's got that voice that you just fantastic voice. And I'm really happy to have him on the show to talk about our time working together at Bell, sort of the state of the radio industry. And he will be on. And Adriano, I know, is waiting in the green room. We have a virtual green room here on the show. I'll talk to him in the next couple of minutes, but everybody wants Adriano back on the program, so we'll have to get that going as well. Anyways, take care of yourself. Be good to each other. Don't forget WindsorEats.com for more information. The food hall happening next weekend here in Windsor, Essex, and we'll see you back here on Monday evening. Have a great rest of the weekend, and thank you for spending some time with us on the Arms Bumanlag Project.